fellow woodworkers and makers of great things. Welcome back to my shop. Or welcome to my shop if this is the first time you're tuning in here. And if that's the case, thank you very much. This week, we got new garage doors installed. And my shop's in half of the garage. So I had to move years and years worth of stuff around, including my lathe, which is heavy, and my sanding station and dust collector and a bunch of other things. So anyway, everything was piled up in the front half of the shop. Guys came in, did an amazing job, put in the new doors, and I was busy yesterday just getting everything back in place and back in order and sweeping up corners that haven't been seen in years and all that kind of fun stuff. So while I was at it, I got over to my marking tools and measuring tools and layout tools. And if you notice, there's an empty spot now on the tool wall where they used to be. And no, I didn't give up on measuring, marking, and laying out, but I decided to take them all down and give them a good cleaning, something they needed. Nothing was horrible, but everything was just a little tarnished, a little surface rust. So I said, let me get at these while I'm looking at them. And so I did that, and that made me think, why not a YouTube video? Let's talk about measuring, marking, and layout tools, and what's important and what's not. And I'll show you what I've got and what I use and what I think is good, but I'm going to put this disclaimer in right up front. There's no right or wrong in this stuff. You will find very talented woodworkers who disagree, who use different types of tools or find different things better than others, and a lot of it's preference, right? But I thought let me go over what I got. You guys can take a look, and maybe if you're starting to build a little collection of better layout, marking, and measuring tools, this may give you a place to go. I've got a combination of stuff that I've accumulated over the years, like everything else. So why don't we go around and take a look at that? I'll show you the junk, because I still got some junk. I'll show you the treasures, and I'll show you the everyday tools that keep me going in a project. And if you stick around to the end, I will then go over my 2 or 3 favorite, dare say beloved, layout, measuring, and marking tools. So stick around. I'll show you what I got. Thanks. Okay, let's go over some of these layout, measuring, and marking tools that I just so dutifully cleaned up and getting ready to put back on the wall. And if you're curious, to clean these things up, I use this, and that's about it. It's a WD-40, some synthetic steel wool. I'll usually use the gray. If it's tough, I'll get out the burgundy. And then I use something called Slip-It sliding compound. It's a really nice wax, great for tool surfaces and hand tools. Gives a little bit of protection, nice smooth feel, nice slippery table saws and stuff. And I'll put that on with a white synthetic steel wool. Very, very fine, very fine. In the back, I've got the rules. So a couple of tape measures. I like and prefer the Stanley 16-foot. I have for many, many years because I was watching Rob Cosman once, and he was really touting this Tajima 16-foot. Looked really cool. I liked it. I bought it. I used it. I ain't crazy about it. It's a little heavy, a little bulky, weighs down the apron. Back to my old 16-foot Stanley Power Lock. I swear by that thing in the shop. A little small for carpentry work. You want something a little bigger, but it's great in the shop. I've got a 36, a 24, and an 18-inch aluminum rule that I also use as straight edges. If you think that's not a straight enough straight edge, it is. We're woodworkers, not machinists. You could strike a line with that straight edge, and it's going to be as close as you're ever going to want for woodworking, because, well, wood moves. I've got a folding rule. Man, I used to use that a lot. I don't use it much anymore. I'll use it for inside measurements. I'll show you that in a minute. I've got a flexible rule. So this is a 24-inch skinny, hard to grab, flexible rule. So you could use that if you've got to get a measurement off of a rounded surface. Imagine a federal card table, imagine a bow front table. We got to come around and measure for a length of banding or to reference a point. Flexible rulers are really, really good to have. And then to the same point, I have one in the 6-inch variety, just a little 6-inch bench rule. That too is flexible, so you can get into a curve. Then I got your traditional 6-inch rule, and this 6-inch rule has the graduations on the end. I think you can see them there. Really handy if you're laying out. It's great for finding table saw blade height and other things. So that's really a neat trick to have. This is a Starrett C604RE, and I got another Starrett 12-inch rule with 8s and 16ths on the front, 32nd to 64ths on the back. 12-inch rule. Got to have that. I love this thing. This is a favorite of mine. It's an old Lufkin 372R folding rule, and you know, you can open it up like that, get some length out of it. When it's closed up, you can use it as a caliper to get the dimension of something. Right? So my finger is just a little over a 1/2 inch thick. I just figured that out. Use this a lot on the lathe for marking out, and then for getting rough dimensions. And there's another version of that right here, a tiny one. I think that's a Lufkin 860. Hard to read, it's wearing off. But similar concept, but a double fold. Right? Same thing, double fold rule. Also has the caliper functionality. This is great for throwing in your pocket. Like if I'm going to the antique shop with my wife, I'm going to check something out and I just want to throw something in my pocket to have. This is pretty cool for that. So I don't use it that often. I don't use it as an everyday shop tool for sure, but it's something I can take with me very, very, very easily. Over here to the left are the digital marking tools. Let's get in on them. Digital marking tools will take you down to a fraction of a millimeter. Right? So if you want to really split hairs, this is the equipment for you. I'm throwing them out. They're junk. I don't even use them. I bought them. This tilt box is sitting collecting dust for years. I don't know why I buy this stuff. I'm walking around a woodworking show or something. I haven't bought anything for 2 hours, and I say, well, let me try one of those. They look pretty cool. Yeah, exit stage left. Sorry. Don't like that at all. Marking gauges. I am a fan of this style marking gauge, and this is my favorite one, as opposed to this type, or you know, the even more traditional ones. These just work for me. They're called wheel marking gauges. They've got a wheel that marks the surface. It's very adjustable, and it's micro adjustable, so I can adjust it to there, tighten this top knob, turn the other knob, and then this thing will back out or go in for me in small increments, and I can get an exact measurement. Go over that a little bit more in just a minute. This wheel marking gauge is double-sided. Wonderful if you're setting a couple of marks, and it's going to be repeated throughout the day. One thing about marking gauges, you set them for your project. You don't want to move them, right? Because you're going to be reusing that mark oftentimes, and you want to have it saved. So if you've got two, that's 2 marking gauges. And oftentimes they'll come with a third or a fourth. This is a tight mark, very popular, most people's favorite. Not mine. I like this Veritas Lee Valley a little better. We're talking about marking, we got to talk about marking tools. I'm a fan of pencils. I like my pencils short. I'll actually get a box of brand new Dixon Ticonderoga No. 2s and take them to the bandsaw and cut them down. because I just don't like a big long pencil. It doesn't stay behind my ear or whatever. I don't know. I'm weird that way. You also need some weight pencils. Weight pencils are good when you're marking dark wood, obviously, like walnut. And then some general marking pencils, like here's a big fat lead pencil, chalk, a red wax crayon. When you lay out all your rough stock and you're just trying to get your dimensions that you're going to cut out, well, there you have it. Use one of those rougher tools for that. I've got a couple of marking knives that I use here. By the way, I use pencil whenever I can. If I need a marking knife, I certainly use it. But I like pencil. I even use pencil for my dovetail, so I prefer it. This is probably my go-to because it's got a double bevel, so I can cut from either side of it. And that's a Back Channel Tool Company marker. This is, I don't know who makes this. Could be Butts, B-U-T-Z. I just like the way it feels in my hand. It's just a great knife. It's got a standard edge to it, so it's not as precise as these nice single-sided bevel edges that can get right in tight against something. But I like that knife for the feel of it and because I've had it a long time. That takes us over here to squares. We've got combination squares, sometimes called tri-squares. That would be these guys. They have a 90 and a 45 on them. This one happens to be a Starrett. This one happens to be a vintage Lufkin. I love vintage Lufkin tools. Just amazing. Not the modern Lufkin, which is owned by a conglomerate now, but the vintage Lufkin. These guys over here are double square. So a double square has 90 degrees in two directions. Where's the camera? There it is. Has 90 degrees in two directions. This is my most used square in the shop right here. 6-inch double square. For smaller work, I've got a little 3-inch double square that I like. Very nimble. And I've got, okay, we're going to go over this later. It's called a die maker square. And it's small and it's adjustable. And I will show you in a little while why that is important to me. This is a Japanese square that was love on first sight. I saw a friend of mine using it. I said, man, that is a cool square. But just like that tape measure back there, once I started using it, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Exit stage left. That's not going back up on the wall without. Now we get to one of the weaknesses I have, dividers and compasses. Right? Yeah, so I have a weakness for these things. I've got a bunch of them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a caliper on the bench. I probably have that many more stuck away in drawers. But these are ones that I'll use all the time. Dividers or compasses, and I think the names are pretty much interchangeable. Maybe a compass is more for drawing circles or arcs, and a divider is for marking off distances between things or measuring between things. I don't know, but I guess I've heard them referred to interchangeably as dividers and compasses. I'll go with divider for non-marking and compass for marking. And then you've got calipers, and this is the only one I ever really keep handy here on the bench. I've got more by the lathe, and I've got more in my drafting kit. But this particular caliper is great for grabbing an outside measurement. So if you want to measure the, for example, the diameter of this, you get the picture. We get that to right there, and then I would know what that diameter is. Larger, medium, smaller. Again, in a given project, I may have 2 or 3 of these set to certain points and leave them there. And that's why I like the ones that have a locking function, right? So I can open this up like so, or like so, and then I can tighten it down. So if I set that as my mark. That's my mark. While I'm setting it, I can then take this fine adjust and just fine tune it a little bit to get to where I got to go. But once it's there, and I'm using that all day between points for what I need. Sometimes you need a little more length, so I've got a few larger ones, then you got some smaller ones. This one is just that's kind of the, I don't know, that's the Rolls Royce of compasses, and I'll hold that one to go over a little bit later. Let's see what else we got here. Get you down to other marking tools. This is a wonderful protractor. I'm trying to look at the camera, the monitor's behind me. And this will give, it's a starrett, so you got the precision. It'll give you great registration on all points in a half circle there. So just a great tool for measuring angles. These are bevel gauges. This is a cheapo here. This is a pretty good one, a Vesper. Australian gentleman. I met him once at a woodworking event and decided to buy his tool. I don't use these that much, to be honest with you. I tend to use this a lot more. Depth gauge, again, not often used, but occasionally, you need it. You can set this and find the depth of something, and then stop and I'm blocking it with my hand, but you get the point there. Dovetail gauges for marking out dovetails. This is a wooden one, and they all have a more shallow and a more steep side to them. And the idea is theoretically that this is for hardwoods and this is for softwoods. I don't know. To me, dovetails are plenty strong no matter what wood you're using, and for that matter, a box joint will do a 90 degree, right? So I'm more on the aesthetics for dovetails, and I'll tell you about that in a minute too. And then over here, I've got just a dial caliper, graduated in inches, non-digital. I talked about the compasses earlier, and but for marking out circles, to be honest with you, if the circle's under about 3 inches, I'm more likely to go to a circle gauge and use that to lay out the arc or the mark that I need if I wanted to round off the corner of something or get a circle. I got many of these circle gauges in my drafting box. This is one I leave out for just marking up jobs when I want to round over a corner or something. So that's the basic arsenal of layout, measuring, and marking tools in my shop. Let me reposition, and I'll pick out a few that I really like and give you some detail on them. All right, so I told you I would go over a couple of my favorite measuring, layout, and marking tools, and one of them is this little double-ended marking gauge. It's just so functional, comes in so handy. It's unbranded. I bought it from Lee Valley, probably, I don't know, a long time ago, 10 years, maybe more, who knows. Time flies, but I don't know if they still have it. I guess I'll check. When you're doing certain work, in particular dovetails, right, you may have a couple of registration marks that you want to use throughout a series of drawers, for example. So in this particular dovetail, this material here, probably 5/16. It is 5/16 drawer sides, right, on what looks like at least a 5/8, I'm sorry, that's a 7/8 drawer front, right? And so I'm going to want to know this measurement, 5/16, so I can mark out the inside of this board with that, right? And then I'm going to want to know this measurement from here to here, so I can mark this line with a marking gauge. So what I would do is simply set this gauge to the thickness of this board, and that's 1. And now I'm at exactly that. So when I mark out the inside of this board, that would be this measurement, this mark, I've got it. And I would come in this fashion, and I've got that, that mark here. I'm going to need a second measurement, and that's going to be the distance from here to here, so I could get this mark on the face board. Now I can't do that right now because this board is in already assembled, but I'll give you an idea. It's going to be about there. I lost it, doesn't matter. But you get the idea. So that's the measurement there. So on this board, when I'm going to lay out my tails, I've got this set to give me that mark. So now I've set this tool one time, and I can mark out as many drawers as I need for dovetails. And I just love that about it. It's not the most robust tool. I mean, it's very well made. It just doesn't have the the heft and grip that a traditional marking gauge would have. But I mean, for the feature and the function and marking small pieces of wood like this, I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful tool, and I would highly recommend it. I will look it up and see if it's still available and get back to you on that. Another tool that I absolutely love is this starrett divider. It is a starrett number 92. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but if I could, I'd be embarrassed, because this tool is absolutely a guilty pleasure. You don't need this tool. Of all these compasses and dividers I have, I'm pretty well stacked for all that kind of stuff. But one day I happened to be in Lee Nielsen's showroom in Maine on a trip up that way, and I saw this thing, and I couldn't get it off my mind. And within a couple of weeks, I ordered one, from Starrett, and just a glorious, glorious tool. This point is removable. The second point, so that you can take it out if you like and put a pencil in that loop and use it to describe arcs or circles that way. Just so well made. There's some tools that just having it in your hand makes it worth having. And this is one of them. And it's got the locking feature that I like here, but then if I make a mark, hopefully we'll be able to see that, and I need to move it a little bit, I've got this fine adjustment here, and I could just move it just a little bit. I moved it about a 16th, and I could really dial this thing in right to where I want it to be. And it is so precise, so dead on, so accurate. So, guilty pleasure. Don't need it, shouldn't own it. Could have probably put that several $100s to better use, but there you have it. I own a Starrett number 92. A little bit ashamed of that, sorry. All right, anyway, and then to my all-time favorite tool. This is a Lufkin number 138 die maker's square, and it's obviously a machinist tool. It's not wasn't designed as a woodworking tool. It's designed as a machinist tool. This particular one was owned by a man named John Tarlecki, and I think about John Tarlecki often because in the 15-20 years that I've owned this tool, I've slowly been abrading away his engraving, and now I can barely read it. You'll never catch on camera. I can get the John. I can see parts of the last name. I know it's Tarlecki because I had it before but every time I clean it, I think to myself, I'm erasing John Tarlecki. I wonder who he was, what he did, what he made. To me, this tool has a soul. It's the soul of a man who may have died before I was born. I don't know. I don't know when this tool was made. The Lufkin Tool Company founder started the company when he survived as a veteran of the Civil War. It was 1869. Lufkin started making machine tools and rules. So somewhere between 1829 and I don't know, 1990 or 1989, somewhere in there when I got it. John Terlecki owned this tool. Wound up in his estate, I guess, and you know, made its way around. And then one day I found it on eBay or on a antique tool dealer somewhere that I bumped into at an auction or a show or something, and bought it. And the beauty of this tool is that it's a square, but it's an adjustable square. So I can move the square a few degrees in either direction. So if I wanted to, for example, find this dovetail, I got it. I got it. Oh, I'm a little off. Hang on. It's there, and then if I tighten both screws, put this up now. And I lost it. I went the other way. This one has to come down. I didn't say it was easy. Well, let's go this way, because I'm almost there. But you get the trick. I could play with it all day. But by tweaking these two screws, I can move this and come. So this is my dovetail marking gauge now. When I mark a dovetail, I simply set this where I want it, bring it down, and mark my tails with this. Turn it over. I can go any way I want with this. It's just a great tool, but it's got other functions too. Sometimes you need to find a particular bevel. So this drawer it's a bow front, so it's rounded. But I also wanted it rounded on the inside. And oftentimes you'll see these drawers flat on the inside, only rounded on the outside, or sometimes they leave an inch or two of flat on the ends so they can join together. I want this inside round to go all the way to the end. But that meant on this tailboard over here, so I can prop this up for you a little bit. On this tailboard here, I had to bevel to match the contour. It's a radius, it's not an angle, but over such a short distance, it's an angle, right? So I was able to use this tool to precisely find that angle. And I'm just approximating here. Oh, pretty close. And that's how I knew how to find that angle, because I had this adjustable bevel. Now, could I have done that with something like this? I certainly could. Would it be as much fun? Nah. So, it's a wonderful square. I think because it has John Terlecki's name on it, and you know, I know it meant something to somebody who did some pretty precise work in his day. You don't become a die maker by mistake. It's an elevated position amongst machinists. You know, when you make it to tool and die maker, you're at the top of your craft, and this would have been a big deal tool at that time, right? Not everybody's going to have one of these. You've got to be serious. So I often wonder what he made and what he did, and one of the reasons I like that tool. So those are my favorite tools, my favorite layout, measuring, and marking tools I thought I'd share with you. There is one more tool that I forgot to show you, and I'll do that now because it doesn't hang on the wall, it's up in a box. But it is nonetheless a layout tool. Be right back. All right, so this next tool is a beam compass, mainly used for designing, right? When you're trying to find a particular radius that is very gradual, right? And so you're only going to get so gradual an arc out of a compass like this, right? So if I'm using one of these, I could probably get a 5-6 inch circle going on that, and that's enough. But if I need a very, very gradual radius, let's say a gently curved table front, I would use this setup. There's a point here, and it's fine to adjust. So if you tighten this one down, you can dial this to where you need it. Then you tighten the second one down. You get a pencil at the other end, and now I can scribe an arc right here that is very gentle. Now if I move this to say here, you can see how that arc is changing, and the closer I get to the pencil, you can see that radius changing. And I could take this out the length of this bar, which I believe is 24 inches. If only I had a ruler handy. Yep, that's about 24 inches between centers. And I could add a third beam to get me out to even further if I needed to. Okay, so I get way out there, and you barely create any arc at all that far out, because now you have this would be a circle with a 6-foot diameter, you know, or a 3-foot radius. So you're going to get a very gentle arc, and most of the time, you're actually working off your drawing, so that this end is actually, this point end might be completely off the drawing or off the work, and you're only catching that arc. Here's a great example, right? That point is not on the work, but I'm marking the work. Right. So that's a beam compass. If for some strange reason you need something longer than that, I have a pair of trammel points, and God only knows where they are right now. I can't find them. Sorry about that. But if you can imagine, trammel points are similar to the two ends of this unit. You got a pivot point, and then you got a marking point, but they're designed to slide onto just a piece of bar stock. So you can make about a 1/2 inch by 1 inch piece of wood is about the size of it, and you can make that as long as you want. You can make that 20 feet long, and then you just slide that over that piece of wood, screw down a little pinch here on both ends, and you can create it as long as you want. I've never needed to go that far myself. This beam compass has always accommodated the arcs that I needed for, you know, bow front layouts, you know, card tables. Here's an example again. That drawer, that's a very shallow radius, probably something similar to, even a little more shallow than what I had here. I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. So we'd be on the third beam somewhere to get to this radius, and you would lay that out so you know where to cut and fair to. So that's a beam compass, and that's the last of the layout and marking tools for today. I'm sure I forgot something. I always do, but this is, as most of my videos, spur of the moment. It came to me. I thought, let me do something with this while I got all these tools out and cleaned and ready to go back up. So, as always, thank you for watching. If you've already subscribed, just be aware I appreciate it so much. you know, if you would, please like this if you liked it. If you didn't like it, sorry, but I'll do better next time. I promise, everybody. I promise. So thanks a lot, and I'll be back to you soon. I'll try to leave some remarks on this double-ended marking gauge, wheel marking gauge. Again, no markings on it, and I'll try to look it up if anybody's interested. If you're interested in any of the tools that I showed you, it would have been a god-awful long time to give you all the make and models and numbers and stuff like that. But if you're interested in something, just put it in the comments. I always read the comments. I assure you I'll get back to you in a few days with the brand name and the part number. All right, guys, enjoy your woodworking. Okay, some details on my 3 favorite tools. This compass that I showed you is a, click over here, it's a Starrett 92-6 Carpenter's Divider is what they title it. There's a description, should be showing up somewhere right around here right now for the Starrett Carpenter's Divider. This double square is still available from Lee Valley. It is item 15N0201 pocket marking gauge. And it's relatively inexpensive at $26.50. And if you do order something like that, I would recommend that you order a set of wheel cutters for it too, because eventually you'll need them, and then you'll have to go looking it up and digging for it. So just get them when you order it. Mr. John Tarlecki's square is no longer made by Lufkin Company, of course, not for many years. But this Lufkin model is a 138 Lufkin die makers excuse me, square. And you will find them on eBay and from tool dealers. 70-ish bucks is what I saw. Didn't check condition, but I saw them for about $70, $80 out there. Starrett also makes this square to this day. I've never had it in my hand. I'm sure it's of equal quality. It's a Starrett, and they call it the 453A as in Albert inch reading die maker square. And that retails for $144, brand new from Starrett. And I don't think I gave you a price on this. Let me find it. The Starrett 92-6 Carpenter's Divider is $218. So next time you got $218 you don't know what to do with, here's one option. The other thing I think I owe you, and you know, apologize, I was playing back the video and I realized I told you that I don't use the folding rule much anymore. It used to be my go-to measuring tool, and I just fell out of use with it. But I told you it was good for inside measurement. So this tool has a inside measurement device here. It slides out. You hold the tool against one end of your work, slide this till it hits the other end, and there's your inside measurement from here to here. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. That's it for the bonus footage. Good luck with your woodworking.